Well, we've done our predictions for the Eastern Conference in 2025 for MLS. Now it's time to do our Western Conference predictions for the 2025 season. And this was a very tough list to make because the West is much more close from top to bottom. There are a couple teams that have separated themselves, but it really could go either way. Very interchangeable in the midsection of the Western Conference. So it's going to be a fun year for the Western Conference teams. We'll see how it pans out, but I'm going to give you my 1 through 15 predictions for the West, and you'll have to let me know what you guys think, if you agree, disagree, and what your list is. But before we get into that, guys, make sure you like this video down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are 70 subscribers away from 6K, and our goal is to hit that number by MLS opening day, which is less than a week away. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell notification so you never miss one of my videos. Now, moving on to number 15, we have the Vancouver Whitecaps. Now, the Whitecaps finished 8th in the Western Conference in 2024. They recently listed the team for sale, which has me a little bit worried about what their commitment level is to this team. Anytime that an ownership group lists their team for sale, you wonder if they're going to pour the necessary funds to make them competitive. They did fire Sartini, who I thought was a very good manager, replaced him with Jesper Sorensen, who I'm not too familiar with of what his track record will be, but he is from Europe, and sometimes there is an adjustment period for managers to come to Major League Soccer because it's just such a different league. They added Jaden Nelson, who played for Toronto in 2022, an academy player, very good, moved abroad. We'll see what he can do when he comes back to MLS and plays for Vancouver. And also, will Brian White still be able to contribute on this team? He's been very good the last couple years, an effective goal scorer. Ryan Gault has been an MVP candidate level player, but like I said, with the team being listed for sale, it has me concerned about what their level of commitment is going forward. And I think that that's why we will probably see regression with this team in 2025 until the team is sold. At number 14, we have St. Louis City SC. Now, St. Louis City SC finished 12th in 2024. They fired Bradley Cardinal halfway through the season after they finished first in the Western Conference in 2023. And they did play a little better down the stretch thanks to Marcel Hartel, which is a player that I was a little skeptical of at first, but he proved to be a pretty good player, very effective player for them. But the team hasn't made any significant moves this offseason, which is crucial in Major League Soccer if you want to compete, especially if you finish 12th in the previous season in the conference. Now, they do have Berkey in goal, which is going to help solidify things in the back line. He's still a very good goalkeeper, but they need to make more additions if they want to truly compete. And I question what the level of commitment is with this ownership group. And on top of that, I'm not really excited about their manager hire. Olaf Melberg had a very, very subpar, underwhelming stint at his other previous jobs in Europe. And I just don't know if he's the guy to lead this team forward, especially if they're not going to spend the necessary resources to make this club better. At number 13, and I swear I'm not hating on the state of Missouri, we have Sporting Kansas City. Now, Sporting Kansas City finished 13th in the West in 2024. And my biggest question is, how is Peter Vermees still the manager of this team in 2025? He has been the manager since 2009, and it just feels like he is never going to leave. He is going to be the manager at this club until the day he passes away. That's what it feels like, honestly. Now, they sold Alan Pulido to Chivas and replaced him with Dejan Joveljic from the LA Galaxy because they weren't able to keep him. But will that be enough to really turn this team in from one of the bottom feeders to a contender in MLS? And they also signed Manu Garcia, but I don't think the team did enough to truly contend. And with Peter Vermees' deficiencies at this point in his MLS career, I just don't see them climbing that hill of being able to be a true contender again, like they were in the mid 2000s or the late 2000s and the early teens. But we will see. I think their biggest downfall is not necessarily who they didn't sign, but keeping Peter Vermees around when he clearly is not evolving with the current MLS times. At number 12, I have the Colorado Rapids. They finished 7th in the West in 2024. They haven't made any significant moves. They did a lot last offseason, signing Jordy Mihalovic, Rafael Navarro, signing Zach Steffen, but they haven't done enough to keep things going in the right direction. Like I said, uh, you have to be able to improve your roster on a year-to-year basis if you want to compete in Major League Soccer. Now, they did trade for Josh Atencio from Seattle. They did buy Theodore Ku de Petro from DC United, but I don't think that that's enough if this team really wants to take that next step and that next level and really try to compete for an MLS Cup. They have to do more than what they've done. And I'm not sold on Chris Armas as a manager. I think he's very subpar. I think he's mediocre. He had a very bad ending in New York. He had a very, very bad ending and start in Toronto. And I think that this is probably, we're going to really see what he is made of this year with Colorado and see if they can improve or will they regress. At number 11, we have the Houston Dynamo. The Houston Dynamo finished 5th in the West in 2024. Ben Olsen as a coach, I don't think has adjusted MLS accordingly to the modern times. And if you notice, this is a theme. We just have these old coaches who just haven't really come around to the new modern MLS. Now, while he has had the team in the playoffs in back-to-back seasons, they just haven't been able to score goals like they need to, especially in the playoffs. That's what their downfall was when they lost to Seattle. They have to be able to score goals. They lost Hector Herrera. They replaced him with Jack McGlynn, who is a good player, but is he going to be able to live up to that level? Hector Herrera had a down season in 2024, but he had a really good season in 2023. And Ezekiel Ponce, club record signing for the Houston Dynamo, is going to have to score some goals. He's going to have to put this team on his back in 2025. He scored 5 goals in 10 appearances in 2024. He's going to have to score probably 15 plus goals if this team wants to make the playoffs in 2025. We will see what Houston can do. Ben Olsen is a survivor. We'll see if he can keep on surviving in MLS in 2025. Now, moving on to number 10, we have RSL, Real Salt Lake. They finished 3rd in the West last year, was a very hot team. Looked like things were firing on all cylinders. Chicho Rongo looked like he was going to be the MVP of the league, but then he got suspended. And I have never seen a team fall off so hard after something like that happened. It's like a complete and total shift in what this team was. Now, they did finish the 3rd, but they were in first place for a while in the beginning of the season, and they sold him to San Jose for a steal. I mean, they basically stole him, $1.5 million in GAM. This team hasn't really done much to improve the team as you'd like. Now, they need Dominic Markchuk to step up in the place of Andres Gomez, who was sold last year. They need him to build off of his season. He looked impressive last year, but they need him to do more. And what they really need in 2025 is Diego Luna to finally step up. We have been talking for 2 years in a row now about Diego Luna taking that next step and becoming the player we think he can be. This is the year to finally do it. And if he does, he will be sold probably for a very nice fee. But RSL need Diego Luna to step up and be consistent week to week, not be a half-season player if they want to make the playoffs. I have them at number 10. At number 9, I have Portland. Now, Portland finished number 9 last year in 2024. They just sold their best player, Vander, to Cincinnati because he was disgruntled with the front office. He doesn't trust Phil Neville or like what was going on in the team, which sucks because you have a player that good who was 3rd place in the MVP race, who was that disgruntled that he wanted out that bad after only being there for 2 years. Feels like they dropped the ball on that, and they traded him to Cincinnati, and they did replace him with Pedro da Costa. We will see how he does with Portland, but we don't know how productive he will be. It's going to be some big shoes to fill. Evander had like 15 goals and 19 assists for Portland last year. That's going to be very hard to replace, even if this guy is good. And they're going to need Jonathan Rodriguez to continue what he was doing. Now, he scored double-digit goals for Portland last year. He is 31 going on 32 this year. They're going to need a lot of players to step up. I just don't think Phil Neville's the guy. I think that he is a very mediocre coach. And if they don't make the playoffs this year, Phil Neville will probably be gone. At number 8, I have San Diego. Now, San Diego is an expansion team in 2025. They're building from scratch. They hired Mikey Veras to be the first coach in the club's history. They signed Chucky Lozano from PSV to obviously check a box of marketing because of where they are, and also to produce on the field because Chucky Lozano is a good player. And they signed Anders Dreyer from Belgium, the Belgian league, who was second in the Golden Boot race in 2023-2024 behind new Cincinnati striker Kevin Danke. That is a very good signing, very underrated, and I think that he is going to be very effective for them in 2025. And the club has also been flirting with signing another big name DP possibly this summer. There's been Kevin De Bruyne has been rumored as that guy, but this team feels like they have the two pieces, Chucky Lozano and Der Stryer, who are going to prevail this team into the playoffs in their first year. And it is one of the better expansion teams that I've seen in MLS in a while. I mean, St. Louis City SC didn't really have anybody crazy in 2023, and they finished first place in the Western Conference. So I think San Diego will sneak their way into the playoffs in 2025, or at the bare minimum play in the play-in game. I have San Diego FC at number 8. At number 7, I have Minnesota United. Now, they finished 6th in the West in 2024. Eric Ramsey is the youngest manager in MLS, and he looked very promising in year 1. Now, they did get rid of Reynoso and Timu Pukki, who left to go back to Finland, but Kelvin Yeboah looked very, very promising in year 1 with Minnesota United, and I believe that Longway will have a big year and likely be sold in the summer for a pretty hefty fee if he continues to play like he did in 2024. And also, Dane St. Clair is a very effective goalkeeper, solidifies the back line. And that is important in MLS. You really do have to have a good back line if you want to separate yourself from other teams. Most teams in MLS have good attacks. It's the defense that really separates the good from the great teams. So they got Dane St. Clair in goal. He's a great goalkeeper. I have Minnesota at number 7. At number 6, we have Austin FC. Now, they finished 10th in 2024. They made a big overhaul in 2025, firing Josh Wolf and replacing him with Nico Estevez, who I'm not a big fan of, honestly, because I think he underwhelmed with his stint in Dallas. And I'm not sure how he got a job so quickly after that disaster. But here he is in Austin, not too far away from Dallas. Now, they did sign Brandon Vasquez from Monterrey. They did overpay from, in my opinion. $10 million for a striker with 4 goals and 41 appearances is kind of crazy, but he has proven he can score in MLS. He is a name. I think that he'll be good enough to get the job done. And then they signed Mirto Izuni, which they combined a transfer fee of $23 million between both players. Now, they did lose Sebastian Driussi, who was a second place finisher in the MVP race in 2022. But I do think this team is going to be improved. I do think they're going to make the playoffs in 2025. And Anthony Precourt has spent money on this team. We will see what Austin FC can do in 2025 with the money that they've spent. But I think that they will be a playoff team. At number 5, we got LAFC. Might be a surprise to some of you, but they finished first in the West in 2024, but they lost a lot of players. They lost Murillo. They lost Ilie Sanchez. They lost Matty Bogusz. They lost Kike Oliveira. They will need Olivier Giroud to step up in 2025 if this team wants to make the playoffs and be a real contender. He looked terrible last year, but you have to wonder if it's him or if it's a system and the way that they play. Either way, they need him to score goals or this whole thing will collapse. Denny Bouanga disappeared in big games last year. They need him to play on another level. The 20 goal a season, Denny Bouanga has to show up more consistently if this team wants to make a run at it for the MLS Cup in 2025, especially with LA Galaxy being good again. They did sign Igor Jesus, the Brazilian international. I think that's a good signing to help solidify the midfield, but is it enough? I'm not sure. I'm not sold on Dolo to get the job done. He's only got one major trophy in his time with LAFC. Yes, he has the U.S. Open Cup, but it's a watered-down version. Not every team participated in it. His first only trophy in my eyes was his first MLS Cup in his first year. After that, he's been disappointing and underwhelming, in my opinion. This season, we will see how good Steve Cherundolo truly is with LAFC. At number 4, got the Seattle Sounders. Finished 4th in 2024. have them finishing the same in 2025. Now, they did trade for Jesus Ferreira from FC Dallas and Paul Areola, but both have been hurt or inconsistent in their stints with FC Dallas. And they did re-sign Albert Rusnak to a DP deal, which I think was a little bit of an overpay. Albert Rusnak is not a DP in modern MLS. Let's be honest here, especially a team like Seattle, who has a history of winning. They are a big club. They could do better, but they didn't want to do better. They didn't want to spend the money. And Jordan Morris is a DP. I mean, what the hell are we doing, guys? That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy that they're doing this. They have to have bigger aspirations than this. Where's the team from years ago that was making the big signings like Clint Dempsey and Nico Ladero? And they also need Pedro de la Vega to step up. I mean, they did spend some money on him last year, but they need him to really be effective. This is a core team, same players, mostly with a few sprinkles of some MLS vets. We will see what they can do in 2025. I mean, I have them at number 4. I just don't know if they're a true MLS competitor for the MLS Cup. I think they'll be in the playoffs, but are they going to be able to finally score some goals? We will see. At number 3, we have the San Jose Earthquakes. They finished 14th in the West last year. What an offseason this team has had. They hired the MLS GOAT in Bruce Arena, who has won with DC United, who won championships with LA Galaxy, with both of them. And he was very good with the New England Revolution, help them evolve into a competitive team that won the Supporters Shield in 2021. And that's a team that has been historically bad, and he made them a contender. So what better hire could you make if you're San Jose than the MLS GOAT, who wins everywhere he goes? And on top of that, they absolutely fleeced RSL for Chicho Arango. $1.5 million in GAM for a striker who could score 20 goals a season is an insane still. Great value. Then they got Joseph Martinez, who is a Golden Boot winner and MVP of the league, who's only 31 going on 32. That's their tandem up top. And we know Bruce Arena loves some two-striker formations. Hernan Lopez is going to take a step in the right direction in 2025. And Christian Espinosa has some real help. I think that San Jose is going to be a surprise team. They're going to be very good in 2025, and I can't wait to see how Bruce Arena transitions this team into from a loser to a winner and what they can do in 2025. At number 2, another surprise, FC Dallas. Finished 11th in 2024, but you know what they went and did? They went and traded for MLS MVP Lucho Acosta from FC Cincinnati, an ultimate playmaker, one of the best players in the league the last 5 years. Hell, maybe the last 10 years. He has been a complete enforcer for FC Cincinnati, completely changing that team from double wooden spoon recipient to MLS Cup contender. And he's going to link up with Peter Musa, who showed a lot of promise last year for FC Dallas, and he finally has a true playmaker behind him. Who knows what they could do? Eric Quill is kind of a question mark, but from what I've heard, he seems like he has a lot of promise. He can't be much worse than Nico Estevez. So this team feels like it's very formidable. And because they have an effective striker and they have a very, very good number 10, anything is possible. That is honestly, debatably, the best duo in MLS. There's a couple different tandems we could argue is better, but it's up there. And when you have a good duo like that, anything is possible. They also sold Alan Velasco to Boca Juniors, and we mentioned earlier they traded Jesus Ferreira and Paul Areola to Seattle. They've cut a lot of the dead weight, a lot of the injury-prone players. We will see what happens, but I have FC Dallas at number 2. You guys will have to let me know what you think about that. At number 1, we have the LA Galaxy. Now, the LA Galaxy finished second in the West in 2024. They won MLS Cup, and they lost a couple pieces in Jovic and Brugman, and Puig is going to be out for a majority of the 2025 season. But they made some good signings. They added some depth at center back and Zonka. They added Sanabria from Uruguay, who's going to be a very effective midfielder. They're going to have Marco Royce back in 2025, and he'll probably be better, more comfortable with the players that he's around, more chemistry with them. And they're going to sign a U22, or rumored to be signing a U22 striker from Brazil who's got a lot of experience for only being 20, 21 years old. This team is going to be fine. You know why? Because they have Will Kuntz. Will Kuntz knows what he's doing. He's effective. He's good. He's probably the best executive in Major League Soccer. So LA Galaxy are back. They're very good. And not only are they going to be the number one team in the Western Conference in 2025, they're probably going to be the favorites to repeat in 2025. And they're going to make a run for the CONCACAF Champions Cup in 2025. They've been very effective at replacements. I think this team's going to be good, maybe even better than they were in 2024. And it's going to be an exciting season to see what happens, guys. So that's my top 15 for the Western Conference. Let me know down below what you think. What is your 1 through 15? Do you agree, disagree with my takes? Are they bad? Are they good? And are you guys just excited for the MLS season to start? Because I know I am. We're finally here. It starts Saturday. It's going to be a great season, guys. So if you like this video, like it down below, share with a friend, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the little bell notification so you never miss a video. And until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.